Dudley Hilton from the stations of East Kentucky Broadcasting here at Pike TV, presented by Appalachian Wireless. As tonight we have caught a little bit of an audible. No, I'm not Andrew Joyce. I'm Joe Kinzer, and I'll be talking to Coach Dudley Hilton about that and about this Saturday's game against Cumberland, Tennessee, which will be kicked off at Lebanon, Tennessee at around 2:30. We're going to have Coach Heidemann, one of the assistant coaches, the offensive line coach, and the strength coach of the U-Pike Bears. Also, we're going to have defensive lineman Desmond Davis and running back Seth Miller. Coach, thanks a lot for joining us. I guess it's been a busy day at practice today.
Well, it's been a busy day. It's been a hard week. Kind of wished I went with Andrew a little bit, but now, you gotta, we came off a very disappointing loss on our own field, and when you play the number 2 teams in the country, you got to be a little bit better ready. Maybe I think we've improved, but maybe we're not ready to play the number 2 team in the country yet because it didn't show it there Saturday, and we just had a long day. And but these kids are looking forward to some leadership afterwards, and a lot of people can run, dig a hole, and hide and bury their heads in it. But us coaches got to go back to the drawing board. We got to. They're looking for some leadership, and that's what we got to be able to give these kids.
Before we talk about the game, let's talk about Thursday Night Lights. This is the third time, I think, the second home game that we've played under the Thursday Night Lights this season. I mean, it's great atmosphere. I mean, a lot of the students are on campus. 3,000, 3,500 again. Just talk about coaching and for your team playing on Thursday nights.
Well, we had another big crowd. I mean, there was a lot of people come out, and then you enjoyed the first 2 Thursday night because we won them.
Right.
And then here we come to, I guess you push your luck too far, but this Thursday night kind of hurt us because we had nobody knows what kind of physical game we had at Lindsey Wilson. We had a very physical second half that our kids really gave it all they had down there at Lindsey Wilson. And then we had to bounce back with 4 days of trying to prepare for the number 2 team in the country. And so this Thursday night really got us off the rhythm. Cumberland, they had a week off before that, so they really had 14 days to prepare for us, and we had 4 to prepare for them. So, but the Thursday night we liked it as long as we stayed in the rhythm. See, but right. This old football is a rhythm game. In high school, I did it every Friday night at 7:30 for 36 years. When sometimes they wanted to play on Saturday, it just threw me off. I didn't like that old Saturday, or Thursday night. It was always a Friday night. And of course, this college football game is either played Saturday afternoon or Saturday night. But we kind of got in the rhythm early in the year, and our fans liked it. Our student body liked it, and as coaches, we really enjoyed it. But this past Thursday night, it wasn't very enjoyable, Joe, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Coach, I tell you, I was up in the broadcast booth broadcasting the game with Andrew and talking about the Patriots. Hats off to them. They don't when they go and block. One thing I noticed about the Patriots, when they line up on the offensive side of the ball and block, they don't man up on you. They block low, and by golly, it don't matter if it's a tight end, a running back, a fullback, or a wide receiver. If you don't have the football, you better know how to block in that system.
Well, I told my wife last night we was watching the pro football game, our Monday Night Football, and I forget who was playing last night, but they ran a sweep, and they had 3 players just went out of sight, and they replayed it, and all 3 of them got cut. And I told my wife, I said, look, they do it in the pros too. It's not only in college. So, right. They're just such a good downfield blockers. They know how to get at your ankles, and that's something they practice on every day and do a good job. They don't throw the ball that much. They depend basically on run. And of course, in high school, I did the old smash mouth thing, and a lot of people didn't like it, And I think it works the same way in college a lot too. They practice every day on being hard nosed, and we're more of a spread football team, finesse, and when you come to a power football team, you better be used to it a little bit in practice. And I'm not making up no excuses, but that's kind of we wasn't prepared to meet the smash mouth like Cumberland. And Coach Bland does a great job at Cumberland, and he's got the athletes, and he's a very experienced football team right now. And shoot, we might play the national championship. I have no idea because I feel like they're a very strong football program.
You said hit the nail on the head right there. This is a program that's knocking on the door of Georgetown. Made it to the second round of the NAIA. You're trying to rebuild this program back up. I've talked about it on the radio and on Sports Guys for the last couple of years. When you're trying to build a program back up, I mean, the Mid-South Conference is like a miniature SEC.
Yeah, again, you saying build up, this college, high school thing, I had success pretty early, but now this college, it really is a building program.
Yeah.
You've got to get the quality kids in here, and I like to think we've brought it a long ways, and it's been the last 2 years. I know it's not where people really, wanting it to be because they feel like it, they ought to compete with Cumberland, but now Cumberland is a team that 5 years ago, they were taking one step at a time, and now the last 2 years they've took all their steps. They got senior running backs, big senior linemen, and they're a very solid football program. And we're trying to still put some pieces together. We're not all there. We're better, but we're not there to where we're in the top one or two teams that we can beat those kind of teams week after week. We've got to be more competitive. That's one thing we weren't the other night, and we just wasn't very competitive, and that bothers me, Joe, when you can't move the ball like you want to, or you can't stop the other team. We'd stop them for a while, and then they'd bust loose. We'd move the ball a little bit, and then we just get stuck. So we just got to be a little bit better consistent.
What kind of positives? I know there's not a lot of positives that you can take out of a 56-point game, but what kind of positives did you take out of the game last Thursday and relate to the team?
Well, we know that if we're going to compete with the number 2 team in the country or the top 5 in the country, we got to work harder, and we know what it takes now to compete. If you don't never go against the best, in high school, if you've never been against Fort Thomas Highlands, you don't know what it's like to how you're going to prepare to beat Fort Thomas Highlands. And right now, we know. We play the number 2 team in the country. So, one thing we know, if we're going to have a program or going to compete with the big boys, we got to work on our weights a lot harder and things. And so you got to look at that. If you're going to compete, you got to do those. But positive thing, we just got to pull together as a team. It's football is a game. You can't play with 1 or 2 superstars, because if they stop you superstars, you got to have a football team. And you see that every week on the high school in the high school ball, when one team depends on 1 or 2 players to make them look good, then you find that team to stop them, then they'll end up getting beat 50-0 because they stopped the horses. And we've got a few horses, but we've got to have a whole team. We can't have just 1 or 2 good running backs. You got to have 3 or 4. You can't have 1 or 2 good receivers. You got to have 7 or 8. You can't have 1 or 2 linebackers. You got to have 7 or 8. And these are things that we're lacking a little bit, but we're going to improve on that.
One really favorable thing I can aspect about Thursday night's game offensively. The last couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, the Graham to Johnson combination, they hooked up for 17 catches.
Well, I think we got a legit quarterback in AJ. I think his attitude's really changed the last couple of weeks. He's took over the leadership, and I think he shows it in practice, and he's more of a vocal. I listened to him this morning a little bit, encouraging his offensive lineman, "Hey, you're doing a good job," or this and that, or receiver, my fault, and I think he's taking a little bit more responsibility, and that's what you got to have. And New Keys, he's worked hard in the last 2 weeks, and again, they were down on themselves early in the year, had a hard time getting them eligible, but and their attitude wasn't very good. But I think now, since they've been in the front row or been in the more of a lead role on this team, they've worked harder in practice, and I think that's a plus for us. But they're 2 pretty good named kids, but the kids we got, the Seth Miller and the and some of the offensive linemen and some of the other guys are doing a good job. This Shantez Johnson works hard every day and just does a great job. And we got some players. We just gotta keep working them.
On the defensive side, we got a brand new defensive coordinator and more aggressive. His team's physical, and on the defensive side of the football, and bringing the Heats had good success early on, first couple of games. The second half against Lindsey Wilson, but it seemed like we're playing in catch-up mode the last 2 weeks. In the first half, out of our opponents' 11 possessions, they scored 9 times.
Well, again, Joe, ain't nobody took this loss no harder than Brian Williams and Al Holland. Al was disappointed he didn't move the ball like he wanted to against Cumberland, but I'm telling you, Brian Williams giving up that many points, it's not in his vocabulary. I think he took it at heart. I think he's he didn't think he would see those kind of days, but he has, and he's tasted, and he's learned a lot about his kids the last few days, and I think that's shine on him. That's why I still think he's going to get the job done on defense. We showed signs the other day against Cumberland that we were there and did what he asked us to do, and we stopped them. Then when they get on their own and try to do it on their own, then we didn't stop them, But it's very embarrassing to him, and like I said, ain't nobody worked any harder this week than him, and I feel confident that he's going to get the job done. They got to learn to play his system and not their system.
And that takes time, and that's what you want. I mean, when I go out and you see me exercising a little bit, and I'm kind of disappointed because you don't pick me up for a ride.
Yeah.
But whenever I go out and do a 16, 17-minute mile, I'm upset at myself. I want a 13-minute mile or less. That's what you want to see out of your coaching staff is when things don't go their way, they're adamant about it and they're very competitive.
Well, I don't care what level you are. Getting beat 59-3 or what the final score was is not okay. But you got to come back. The kids are depending on you to lead them, and you got to correct your mistakes. And like I said, that was a long night for all of us, and we all hurt. And but again, we got to bounce back, and that's what we've done this week. Brian and Coach Holland both has burned the midnight oil and trying to get ready, and they can't wait to redeem themselves. So hopefully we get be better. But we are better defensively. It might not show it, but we are better. And I think anybody who's been around our program knows that we are better. We just we're very short in the secondary. And but again, that's just one phase, but that's part of recruiting. Maybe next year we can go out and recruit some bigger secondary and better defensive players also.
And when we come back on the Dudley Hilton Show, we're going to go into the Bear Den and look at some highlights of last week's game. You're listening and watching the Dudley Hilton Show presented by Appalachian Wireless. And welcome back into the Dudley Hilton Show on the stations of East Kentucky Broadcasting and Pike TV, presented by Appalachian Wireless. And before we officially get into the Bears Den with the highlights from last week's ball game, Coach, one thing that I really noticed about last week's game on the roster, we have a lot of Kentucky kids on our team. I think that Cumberland only had maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 at the most, but a lot of Kentucky kids on our roster.
I think they figured out. I think they started one Kentucky kid, and but again, we got our share of them and go, but we're going to have to expand out a little bit more, I guess. But right now, that's one reason we have a good crowd, because you got people pretty local that can come watch us play, so that helps a little bit. But I don't know. I didn't really study the roster that much, but I think most of Cumberland kids come out of Tennessee. I think that's where they get a lot of them, but they did. I think they started one Kentucky kid out of their 22 starters.
Before we get into the highlights, one question I want to ask you, Coach. We were in the sports guys yesterday, and basketball scores in football. I mean, just not on the high school level anymore, but on the collegiate ranks, 62, 50, 73, 50, whatever. I mean, why do you think that we're seeing so much high-scoring basketball scores now in the game of football, just not on the high school, but also on the collegiate level, in your opinion?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes I blame it on the toughness of the sport. I don't think it's as tough as it used to be because of the spread and the wide open game that people tries to play. You know, if you got a good passing team and I can play pass defense, then you're hurting for the night.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't play a lick of defense, you know, most of them spend so much time working on offense, they forget to play defense. And I know back in many years ago when we were very strong, competitive at Bell County and even at Breathitt County, we played defense. That's one thing we put more emphasis on defense than we did offense, because that's what's going to win you championships. And you know, I think today most of them don't put too much emphasis on defense. They try to score, and then they made a pretty good team that put a little emphasis on defense. They can't score, so they end up getting. And you're right, Joe. I looked at the paper last Saturday morning. These high school, it's outrageous of how many 50s and 60 points they are, and it's basically because people just don't work on defense.
I think some of it's special teams. I mean, on the high school ranks now, how many teams do you see in high school? Do I see nowadays that have a 5-yard punt, a 10-yard punt? The snap goes over the punter's head. Lack of special team coverage. I mean, on the high school ranks, I think that contributes to some of the high scoring as well, Coach.
Oh yeah, you know, a lot of times, you know, coaches' attitude, well, you got to go out and have fun, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, that's you know, fun is winning. I'll tell you, believe me, I've been in a lot of games that I've had fun, and this losing is not very fun. So you better practice defense if you want to have more fun at it. And these kids don't like to practice that. They like to throw this ball around and have I think they're having fun like that. But I you know, again, I'm not a passing man, even though, you know, I just feel like it, you know, sometimes it can make kids a little soft, and I think, especially in the high school, and I think since Mummy was here, I think that hurt the state of Kentucky. But again, you know, a lot of people have success, so I can't cut it because, you know, but anyway, it's not too much emphasis put on defense anymore, Joe. Defense
wins you championships. We would like to burn the highlights from last Thursday night's ball game, but I guess Coach and I's got to go over. So, so guys, if you can roll the highlights for us.
You know, we got some good plays. We got some kids that works hard for us and make some good catches. And this Shantez Johnson is one of them. First off, right here, he makes a good catch right here. He lowers his head and gets what he can. You know, I think he gets about 15 yards. Then you come back with the next one here. AJ's throwing it to Richardson down the sideline. Again, hard nose, just barely drags his foot right there in the end zone right there. You get the ball on the 4-yard line, yep. you need to take it in, you know, and that's what we got to get a little bit better and end up had to settle for a field goal. Ryan Wilson connected on a 23-yard field goal. And coming back here, here's AJ again, scrambling around there a little bit and hit Jeremy Hill across the middle. Get another call and get a horse collar right there, and again get it down on the 10-yard line and don't score, Joe. And no, that hurts us. There's a big defensive play out. Chris Ross and Taylor Woods on the side. Then here we come back again with AJ hitting. Again, I think that's Shantez Johnson across the middle right there. Shantez, he comes play every week, Joe. He does a great job for us. Here's again AJ to avoids a tackle right there, and you can see AJ Shantez got somebody hanging all over him and still makes the catch right there. So you know, a boy like that to put the effort here. Here's a good option run that we finally got him for a long lost. I mean, lost yardage there. I think that's Taylor Woods and Jade Haddix on that. And then here comes another play. I think this is Debo, we call him. That's Davis and Scott Akamonto there, right there for a 4-yard loss. And we had a few defensive plays. We give up the the big third down at 15 and 18. That's what hurt us. Here's another stop by Davis and Woods, and then we come back here and here's AJ hitting, getting us out. You know, we got the ball on the 1 yard line, got it out. We brought it out there as Shante catching that one, and get a little drive going right here. Again, it's where we started. There's Shante Zachary caught the ball, made a good run right there, and you know, we got it out of the end zone. You're thinking it's going to be hard to get out of this end zone, but we did do that part of it. We just go ahead and finish it. Here's AJ Roman. He's an exciting player to watch. I tell you, there's another big run by Shantez, and it's almost a Shantez Johnson highlight, you know. And we just got to get some more kids to contribute, and same way defensively there. There's another long pass. You can see right over on the sideline. That just don't happen. Right there's a great pass, great play right there for a big game for us, about 27 yards to. And here he comes right back to Shantez again. I think that's so far on the highlight. That's about 6 or 7, and then have a pretty good run here by Rankin on about 35 yards. Prairie Central young man that does a good job right there. You know, Joe, we had enough highlight films. They would have made anybody highlight tape right there. Those catches and the sacks we made, and we just they end up having a few more highlights than we did, I guess.
And when we come back and have you towards the tail end of the program, we're going to talk about the team from Lebanon, Tennessee, and we're going to go to 4-2 on the season.
Well, we'll talk about them after you get done.
All right. All right, we'll be back with more of the Dudley Hilton Show on East Kentucky Broadcasting and Pike TV Sports, presented by Appalachian Wireless.
Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter, yeah.
For details.
Back into the Dudley Hilton Show on the stations of East Kentucky Broadcasting and Pike TV, presented by Appalachian Wireless. We're talking to the offensive line and the strength and conditioning coach of the U-Pike Bears, Coach Will Heidelman, and Coach is a Trinity High alum and also went to Eastern. And Coach, this week is St. X Trinity week.
That's what you're telling me. So, big week back home, evidently. So,
before we talk about your role with this program and the players that you coach, let's quickly, first of all, talk about St. X Trinity. I mean, it's unreal. What, 40,000 people fill the pizza box. What's it like playing a high school game in front of that many people?
You know, growing up, it was a blast to play, and I was very fortunate to go back and coach there another 3 years. You know, I think the last year we were there was 41,000 people. You know, it's an awesome deal. I had a kid there, quick story, who it gets down to families who gets divided for it. A kid wasn't allowed to sit down and eat dinner with his family because his dad went to St. X and he was at Trinity. So, you know, it's an awesome rivalry. It's great while you're there, you know, and there's a bigger picture in the world. But it's a great thing to happen. It brings community together. And people still go back home for it year after year after year.
Great football in that neck of the Commonwealth.
You know, it's not only great football, but it's great academics in the schools, both of them, you know, and the communities, and they're faith-based, you know. It's an awesome experience if you get to go see it.
Then you went on to play at Eastern.
Yeah, I played at Eastern for a couple of years. And had a great there. Played for Roy Kidd for a couple of years, and then Coach Hope came in, had great success there. And then we went on and had a couple of years of arena ball, so.
Let's talk about first the strength and conditioning side of things. Just talk a little bit about the off-season workout. What's some of the things that the guys do?
Well, you know, we're Olympic based, and we really took we strived this year to create a base of not only just raw strength, but also form and function and injury prevention. You know, well, to this point, knock on wood, we've had great success of the guys that went through it with us, with less shoulder injuries. Right? Those guys that weren't with us through the spring and through all that, yeah, there's a couple of shoulder injuries here and there, but a lot of shoulder stability and knee stability, single joint movement stuff to ensure that with the longevity of the season that they can still maintain their power. You know, on the other side of it, we harnessed their power. We got the weights, we threw it around, we had a blast. You know, they built us that facility, and we used every inch corner of it.
How often did the troops go up and down Y Hill?
We didn't use that hill very much, but I can tell you, if those garage doors got shut, they weren't very happy.
You know, you talk about training. You know, I've heard a little bit on the Bob Stoops show, their strength and conditioning coach. What you was alluding to, you know, I just thought, you know, you just lift weights, you lift all the weights, you know, do a lot of cardio. But now there's a new cutting edge on injury prevention of training. Just talk a little bit about that.
You know, it's not about the strength and the performance and the output, but it's also about the longevity of their careers and the longevity of their life afterwards. You know, we have some gentlemen with blood pressure issues and some that have shoulder and joint stability issues, and it's all about coming together and finding the best method for that individual athlete. You know, I sit down with each position coach in the season, and we'll evaluate each and every athlete and what each and every athlete needs. You know, do they need to gain weight? Do they need to lose weight? Do they need to gain strength? Hey, does this one need to lose weight? Is his blood pressure high? What's going on there? You know, and it's about longevity in that terms because, you know, come week 7, 8, 9, it's a grueling season. It's a long season, and you know, these games are not patty cake. You know, we're out there pounding and grinding, so it's all about long-term goals for these guys.
See, I didn't realize that when you talk about training, you know, sit down with each position coach. I mean, you have, 100 guys on the team, so really every one of these guys has a different need, you know, build body mass, lose weight, gain weight. So you know, I didn't realize this till now that you don't train every player on the team the same way.
No, I don't. And we'll get into more specificity as we go into this year. Our linemen will take another tract, and we'll escalate that because it's a need that we have. But no, we'll do diet plans to calorie intakes to every aspect because every aspect comes down to how they perform on Saturday afternoons.
You know, you talk about, you know, you're the offensive line coach, and, you know, back in the old day, you know, bigger was better, but now you got to be big, but also you have to be very mobile. Just talk about that.
Yeah, if you can't move, you can't play. Bottom line, it's a game that's won for us up front and first step and head placement. You know, my guys get tired of hearing every single day. And if you can't move, you're not going to play. And the guys that play, there's 9, 10 of them guys that have rotated in this year who have held their own and gone out there and done their job very well most times. But they've done it very well. Those are the things that they've been successful at, the first step and head placement, because it's about positive gains.
Let's talk about the improvement of this offensive line over the last couple of years. You know, one thing I noticed when I'm up in the broadcast booth, you know, we have 8, 9, 10 guys. We do have depth at that offensive line position.
Yeah, you know, it was real important through spring ball for me, coming back around, that we developed a little more depth. That guys who wouldn't normally be in there for 20, 25 plays they can get in there for 10, 15 plays and blow us, but not only give some guys a break, but also go out there and produce and be comfortable with them. You know, I don't put a guy into a game that I don't trust. You know, and we're a close group in that room. Those guys hang out with each other. They go out with each other. You know, they're a great group to be around.
How important is it, Coach, to have that type of continuity?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge because, you know, when you're in the battle of the game and the siren's going off and, you know, the houses are off the foundation, so to say, you know, you got to be able to trust the guy next to you, and they do. And they communicate that, and there's verbal and nonverbal communication that they go through because they've been through it before. You know, they've pushed their bodies to that point that, hey, we're hurting. Down Edward Waters' great point, yeah, they were hurting. Heck yeah, it's hotter than Dickens. You know, they've been there before.
I mean, they're beating and banging on the on the offensive line each and every play. You know, when you're a skilled player, you know you don't get hit every single play, but when you're a lineman, I mean, you're at war each and every play getting hit.
Oh yeah, you know, and the pound takes its toll on you. You know, it was good to get him a couple days off here recently, get him nice tubs, get him a couple extra meals in them, and those cheeseburgers heal just about anything.
let's let's talk about what makes a good lineman.
What makes a good lineman? First and foremost, mental awareness, not only for football, but most importantly academically, and knowing what's going on around you. Because not only is it about can you make your plays or can you make your assignments, this is what are you going to show up on a daily basis. Do you have a great work ethic? Are you going to show up and produce? It doesn't matter if we're making paper airplanes that day. Are you going to be the best paper plane maker of the day? Because that's what we want to be.
You talk, also, when people talk about an offensive lineman, I've talked to some high school coaches. It's just, people think it's just line up and you just bang, you're hitting the defensive lineman or whatever. But you got to know your assignments. You got to know, I guess, the blocking scheme is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, we stress blocking scheme and assignment, alignment assignment, day in, day out with these guys. Last week or so we've had a couple of breakdowns, and we'll get them fixed, But it's real important that they understand the scheme, understand the concepts of football. Not just, hey, I'll go out and block number 55. I have to go out there and I have to really work to, hey, the 55 is not there. What's going to happen now? Well, I understand what's happening in the play and the concept we're trying to run, and they can compete.
Like you said, pick up 55, where's he at? And then I guess what a lineman really has to learn to be aware about, when you have a defense that just moves all over the place before the snap of the ball, that I guess tries to confuse the offensive line. Hey, who am I supposed to be blocking?
Well, movement most definitely can be a confusing factor, but we have our rules. Every protection has a rule, and we follow it. When we follow it to a T and we execute with great technique, heck, there ain't nobody we can't block. But when we don't use great technique, we could be in a great spot, in the right position, but without technique, we won't be able to pick it up.
What do these guys on the offensive line need to do to keep on improving and getting better?
You show up every daggone day ready to work. They want to be the best. They come to work. Yeah, sometimes they're tired, sometimes they're beat, but no, there's not very many days that show up where they're not eager, ready to roll.
What's it like for you? You've been with successful programs. What's it like for you coaching here at UPike in a quality league?
Well, the league's unbelievable, but the city, the people around here, one of the big factors coming here is that they want it to be something great. And you have an administration and a coaching staff that are here and striving every day to make it something great. And we got one foot there. And, it's all about getting all on the same page and continuing through with effort.
Coach, thanks a lot for your time.
No problem.
Best of luck, buddy.
All right.
All right. That is the offensive line and also the strength and conditioning coach of UPike, Coach Will Heidelman. When we come back, we're going to talk to defensive lineman Desmond Davis and also running back Seth Miller. You're tuning in to the Dudley Hilton Show presented by Appalachian Wireless.
Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter, yeah.
Welcome back into the Dudley Hilton Show on the stations of East Kentucky Broadcasting and Pike TV, presented by Appalachian Wireless. And we're talking to one of the guys on the defensive side of the football, redshirt sophomore out of LaGrange, Georgia, Desmond Davis. And Desmond, welcome into the Dudley Hilton Show.
It's an honor to be here.
Are you a little bit nervous?
A little bit. I ain't too much nervous. I like to talk a little bit.
Well, that's good because it's my first time hosting the show. So, A, I got your name right. B, I didn't mess up your hometown. And C, actually, I didn't call you an offensive lineman. So I think we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the defensive side of the football. Let's talk about the brand new defensive coordinator, Coach Brian Williams. I tell you, he brings he wants physicality, he wants movement, and I tell you, you guys bring the heat.
Yeah, coach. He's a pretty good coach, and funny thing about it, he was kind of getting on us one day, and he was telling us that he adopted this at the game, and I really believe in it, what he's trying to get going on the defensive side.
What is he, this is his first year here with us. What have you learned from Coach Williams so far in the first 4 or 5 games?
You got to have heart. You can't just, be out there to play the game because, You know, it's not too many people that can get up at 5 o'clock every morning, you know, and go out and hit people and, you know, be passionate about the game. You got to have passion about it and heart about the game.
You know, let's back up a little bit. You come from LaGrange, Georgia. Tell us a little bit about your hometown.
It's big on football. You know, that's all I grew up watching, you know, and playing. And yeah, it was pretty good. I had a pretty good high school team. You know, we ain't never win no championships, but we was right there in the running of it. But you know, LaGrange is a pretty big on football, any sports.
Got a pretty good pipeline to a lot of collegiate players from your neck of the woods, part of the country, that go on to play on the collegiate level.
Yeah, I got a couple of friends playing on, you know, in college and, you know, next level.
What kind of adjustment is it for you coming from LaGrange, Georgia to Pikeville, Kentucky? What kind of adjustment was it for you?
I guess just the area, you know, being the area we in, it wasn't really no big adjustment because, I mean, I love football. I go anywhere and play football, so that's the only adjustment. It was the area.
You play on a parking lot.
Yeah, I play tag, football, anything.
How long have you been playing football?
I played 1 year of rec league, and we started middle school in Georgia, so I've been playing ever since middle school.
So who's your idol growing up? Who did you idolize?
I think I idolized Jerome Bettis the most. I like
the bus.
Yeah, the bus.
The bus.
Yeah, it was a. I always want to play running back.
a defensive lineman. I thought you was going to, say, defensive line player or something. You know what I mean? LT or somebody like that.
Yeah.
But a running back, Jerome Bettis.
Yeah, that was my big role model growing up.
So when did you realize? When was it broken to you that you weren't going to be a running back?
I guess when I got here, because I kind of played, you know, fullback and running back in high school. I came here and I put on a little weight, so I guess that you know, that was out of the way when I got here.
You know, let's talk about, on a serious note, transitioning over to the defensive side of the football, being the defensive line. Just talk about that transition, Desmond.
I mean, I've been playing defensive line. You know, that was my main position throughout high school.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't really no big transition. So. I mean, defensive line is always, you know, it's always been my heart. But I mean, it's always a second position you wanted to play, and that was my second position, running back.
So you've been on some big plays this year. You've pancaked some guys. You've got some tackles for losses and sacks. I mean, what's it like, man, when you just make a spectacular, awesome play, especially when you wipe out the opposing team's quarterback? What's it like?
It's a great feeling to, you know, get to physically take a guy to the ground, you know, and just take their pride away. I mean, last two games we ain't really take their pride away, but just to, you know, get the hit on the quarterback and see them laying on the ground, that's a good feeling. You know, you're doing your job then. You know,
I've talked to some defensive linemen over the years, and then they'll say, Joe, we can tell when we got our matchup whipped on the opposing team's offensive line. I mean, when can you sense that when you're a matchup on that opposing team on the offensive line, it's like, oh man, I'm dreading this guy. I mean, can you sense that at times?
I mean, you really can't, because some guys can be, you know, 6'5", 300 pounds, and you expect them to be physical, to this physical guy, and they come off like a box of tissue, just soft, you know. I mean, you can't really tell by looking at a guy. You have to really look at film and, you know, see how he played the game.
You know, we talked about the defensive side of the football. You guys as a defensive unit made some plays this year. Got a lot of takeaways, especially the first 2.5 games. You know, going back to that Moorhead game. I mean, I tell you, I mean, Chris Watson blocks a field goal. He comes like a man possessed in the second half. You gave tackles for loss. Scott Alcomando's all over the place. Josh Sammons dislodges the football, the final play of the game. Just talk about playing great collegiate games like at Moorhead State game.
I mean, it was a great experience, you know, to be in the NAI and get to play, you know, an upper level school like that. It's a good experience, and, you know, beating them really showed what we can do out there, and I think we need to, you know, show that a little bit more.
What's this defense need to do to get back on track like we did the first couple of games?
We got to stay focused. We got to stay in the game. We can't let these last 2 games, take us into a season like we had last year. I've been here to witness that. I seen it happen, and it's not a good feeling, to lose that many games back to back. It's not a good feeling. We gotta get better in all areas, even on offense and defense. I try to coach to everybody, that we gotta get better. Not even just on the offensive side. We gotta get better on the defensive side, special teams, all that.
We won 3 straight in the top 25. I mean, ecstatic to death to be that way. But we got a lot of football left. I mean, can you sense that, hopefully the attitude of your teammates, hey, we got a lot of football left, so be the last couple of games. So just leave that aside, push that to the back burner.
I really think, Coach Hilton preach it every day, don't worry about the games in the future, worry about what's, the next game.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if we just stay focused on that, I think we'll pull it together and pull off a good season this year.
Before we let you go, what are you majoring in?
Sports management.
Sports management. So what do you want to be?
I don't know. I think I want to, be a coach or something. I want to, go in that area.
All right, Desmond, thanks a lot for being on the Coach Hilton Show, and I can't wait to see you lay some wood coming up Saturday against Cumberland, Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's Desmond Davis, redshirt sophomore defensive lineman from LaGrange, Georgia. We'll be back with running back Seth Miller right after this break on the stations of East Kentucky Broadcasting and Pike TV, presented by Appalachian Wireless.
Hey now, come on, let's go. The music's playing, I've got to move on, to go out, no more delaying. Pack my things up, carefree, adventures waiting. I'm heading out to see the rest of the world.
And welcome back into the Dudley Hilton Show on the stations of East Kentucky Broadcasting and Pike TV, presented by Appalachian Wireless. On our final segment, we'll bring the head coach back, Dudley Hilton himself, as we'll talk about the folks from Lebanon, Tennessee. But right now we're talking to one of my favorite players on the team is redshirt junior Seth Miller from Waynesville, Ohio. And Seth, welcome into the show. One thing I always talk about you, this is the first time I've ever seen you close up and very muscular. And I'm like up in the press box, like, he's a power back. He probably doesn't show a lot of shifty moves, but you do. I mean, you got that deceptive speed. So just talk a little bit about that, about running the power game, bringing that the power game, and also with the speed aspect of your game.
Well, as a running back, you try to be versatile. You want to be multiple things out there. And if you're just shifty, you can't, like on third and short situations. You want to be as effective as you can. That's why earlier Coach Heineman was preaching about getting in the weight room and all the shoulder exercises so that we can drive block and be able to push forward for those first downs. And then also you want to be shifty so that make defenders miss in the open field.
Now, if you've ever talked about or heard about if you had to go to war and be in a foxhole, usually you'll say a certain person. But Seth, I tell you, if I had to go to war and be in a foxhole, you'd be right there with me, because you looked like a helmet up against Lindsey Wilson late in the second half to your hip. It looks like, and you came out a few plays, and then you came back and made a 22-yard run down the near sideline, holding your hip the final 17 yards. And I'm sitting there like, my gosh, he's running quicker than I probably would be at full health. Just talk about, just coming back into that game doing that.
Well, we're a close group of guys, and my linemen and the rest of the offense, they really care about me, so I can't leave them hanging out to dry. So they're working hard for me, so I had to come back in there and do what I could to try and help us.
What did you try to improve on your game from 1 year ago? You was leading rusher last year, just under 600 yards rushing. You're a leading rusher again this year. What did you try to work on your game?
First, pass blocking. I need to be able to pick up some of the linebackers on pass protections, and also I want to get stronger and faster. Just if you're bigger, stronger, faster, you're going to be a better football player. So I just try to improve on
You know, one thing I like about you also, Terrell, Marcus Terrell,
Yeah.
and also Rankins that does a good job of, you know, good running back by committee is, you know, people think when you're a good running back, you just hit the hole, nail it right through the hole as fast as you can. That's good, but also to be a good running back, you have to be patient and wait for your blocks to set up. Just talk about that.
With our zone scheme, some of our runs are slower developing runs. We have some counter and power plays where we have guards and tackles pulling. So you have to be patient, and sometimes if you hit it too quick, then the hole won't open up, and sometimes if you're patient, it's able to open up for a big play.
No, you're from Waynesville, Ohio, around the Queen City of Cincinnati. When you talk about Cincinnati, you got to talk about Gold Star Chili. You got to talk about the Cincinnati Reds and the Bengals, but also you talk about great high school football. Talk about that a little bit.
There's so many schools in the Cincinnati area. That's what makes it so exciting. Like I think there's like within a half hour, an hour of me, there's like 15, 20 schools. So there's always on Friday nights. It's just a packed house no matter where you're at, and it's just a great place to play.
Who was your
high
main
school
rival?
football. Clinton Massey. It's a small school. They were about 5 minutes from us, so it was always a real good rival. They were a little bit more successful than we were. One of the players I played against in high school is Drew Fry, who starts safety for University of Cincinnati. So it was some good football.
Talk about now being in Pikeville, Kentucky. Excuse me. Just talk about being in Pikeville.
It's a little different. But it's not too bad. I went to a small school. It's kind of a smaller university on the bigger scale of things. And it's a great community. Everyone wants you to be successful. The teachers are great. The administration's great. It's a nice little town.
What are you going to major in? What are you majoring in? Excuse me.
English.
Well, that's one thing that you can probably teach me about, because if I knew that I was going to be in radio, instead of being a C or C minus English student, I think I would have majored in English and tried to make A's or B's. So what do you want to be? You want to be an English teacher when you grow up? Or?
I haven't ruled being an English teacher. I would like to work in the communications aspect of like a business, or I wouldn't mind doing just like something in marketing. English majors definitely teach you a lot of critical thinking, and there's a lot of different routes to go for in that major.
Seth, thanks a lot for being on the show, and best of luck. And I got the feeling we're going to go to 4-2 coming up on Saturday.
Yes, sir. We'll do our best.
All right, that's Seth Miller, running back for the University of Pikeville Bears. When we come back, we're going to finish it up. We're going to bring back head coach Dudley Hilton, and we're going to be talking about the opponent on the road this coming Saturday, Cumberland, Tennessee. We'll be back with more of the Dudley Hilton Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless.
Keeps on giving, not even close to the end. It's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter. Yeah.
And welcome back into the final segment of the Dudley Hilton Show on the stations of East Kentucky Broadcasting and Pike TV, presented by Appalachian Wireless. We had a good talk today with the strength and conditioning coach and the offensive lineman, Coach Will Heineman, and also defensive lineman Desmond Davis, and running back Seth Miller. Coach, we're making almost a 6-hour trip to Lebanon, Tennessee. It'll be my first time ever going to that particular neck of the woods. 2-2 is our opponent, coming off of wins of Belhaven 41-31 and Bluefield College. Tell us a little bit about our opponent coming up on Saturday.
Just a very solid NAIA football program. I think last year they finished up 8-2 and had a good record last year. Almost made the playoffs and barely got knocked out of it. But we're again up for another good football team, and they run a kind of a spread offense with a pretty good running game in theirs, and then defensively they play more of a forefront, and that's they again play good solid, but they're a good solid football program. Got a good kicking game, and just don't have that one or two big standout players. They just more of an established team, and but we got our hands full. But Joe, at this point, I'm not worrying about them as much as I'm worrying about our Bears, and we just got to get our Bears playing and on both sides of the ball and the special team. And I think I hope this week our Bears go and play.
What do we got to do to come out with the victory, Coach?
Well, we got to give our defense a little bit better field position, and we got to get our offense going a little bit more too, control the ball and going up and down the field and finish it, get in the end zone. Last few years we had no trouble scoring a lot of points, and we need to get back to scoring a lot of points. And I think our defense has improved. But we've been called upon a little bit too much too early right now, and but again, you got to play better defense. But offensively, we've done some good things offensively. We've just last week we had a lot of bad luck on fumbling. We had 5 turnovers, and we went through the first 3 or 4 games, didn't have those things. So hopefully we can get away from that. But turnovers definitely kills us, and we can't afford to do that. But we're going to have to we got to finish our drives, and our offense has got to. If they do that, we'll be in good shape. Our defense just got to go play. We got to play better than what we've been playing. We give up some big plays, but it's going to be a good defensive game. I think we'll take care of business.
And there's also one player that I failed to mention. You talk about on the special team side of the ball that I've really been impressed with this year is Demir Karapanzik, our freshman punter.
Yeah, he's done a great job, and even on the kickoff, we pinned Cumberland one time on the 10-yard line, and because he got a good kickoff, and I've been very pleased with him and Ryan Wilson both in our kicking game, and we got a young man centers the ball too, Morales, and he does a great job at that too. But I'm proud you said that, because this young man has punted the ball very well this year.
Yeah, I think he's pinned our opponents 5 or 6 times already inside the 20. Coach, anything else you'd like to add before we let you go?
No, just don't give up on us, and people. We'll keep fighting. Our kids fought hard this week, and we've practiced hard, and we'll show up for the game, and hopefully that we'll make a better performance. And it's not that far. If you can't, tune in to us on our radio or Pike TV and watch our games, because our kids deserves a big crowd. We do have some exciting players, and we're going to keep getting better, Joe.
Coach, thanks a lot, buddy. All right.
Thank you.
All right, that's Dudley Hilton, the head coach of the U-Pike Bears, as U-Pike will go to Lebanon, Tennessee to take on Cumberland, Tennessee with a record of 2-2. And again, coverage of the U-Pike Bears on Z1075 and Pike TV will begin at approximately 2:15 with the pregame show, and 2:30 will be kickoff. For the gang for Pike TV and East Kentucky Broadcasting, I'm Joe Kinzer saying so long, everyone. It's presented by Appalachian Wireless.